this book is a software upgrade because it's giving you a new lens to look at the world through. So a simpler lens. And even my students are like, this works so good. It's like, why doesn't anybody else do this? I'm like, because everybody kind of thinks the same way. Everybody has been taught the same way. I'm the one that's rattling the cage saying, I think that there's a different way to do this.
Welcome back to FURYCAST. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and of course, smash the bell for notifications. On today's show, I have my first returning guest, Mr. Javier Vazquez. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, Derrick. How are you?
I'm doing good, And you have something new for us. You have a book, and we'll get into that in just a second. But first, remind the good people watching and listening who you are, where you live, and what you do.
My name is Javier Vazquez. I'm a 5th degree Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I'm a former MMA fighter, fought in the UFC, the WEC, Elite XC, Shooto. I've done high level grappling. I did EBI. I did ADCC. And I have an academy in Rancho Cucamonga, and I have an online courses as well as a new book. When I wrote the book and I started to write this stuff down, it started making a lot more sense. The way that your mind looks at jiu-jitsu is in a couple of different ways. Number one, you have collected a bunch of moves from all sorts of positions. Mm-hmm. Now you've kind of categorized these moves like, oh, these are the side mount moves, and these are the mount moves, and these are the guard moves. But within that kind of thinking, now you just have a bunch of moves in a group. Now you've got to go, okay, each one of those moves has a bunch of steps. So now you have to remember all of these moves and the steps to all these moves while you're moving in a live setting. That's too much processing. That's why the moves don't work, because you're trying to do moves and then the person is resisting. And you may or may not be addressing the resisting. And because of their resisting, these moves might not even be applicable. So you have a bunch of moves in your head that don't even work. So I look at it, and I looked at it that way. And what I realized is that it puts so much of the responsibility on the student to figure all this stuff out. You're taught a bunch of moves. You got to figure out where they go. You have to figure out which ones work for you. You have to figure out which ones work for you. You have to come up with some sort of a game plan, and then you got to hope for the best, right? So it didn't make any sense.
Everybody's rooting against you and trying to
yeah, and everybody's trying to beat you, and it becomes so much processing that it becomes complicated. People become discouraged and they end up quitting. What I'm saying is far easier. The way I run things and the way I teach to my students is very easy. I give you 3 things. You come in here, you know nothing. If you go into a gym and you learn a bunch of moves, it's up to you to figure out where they go. When you come here, you learn things a specific way. I tell you 3 things. When you come in here, you learn 3 things. Number 1, a mindset, a way to help you solve problems that are reasonable, they're economical, they're logical. JVOS, mindset, a way to think, a way to problem solve. This ability to problem solve after a while becomes a self-correcting system. Because I'm teaching you how to properly think, you can start solving your own problems because you're going to start asking the questions, and I'm kind of teaching you how to solve problems, think, make decisions, right? Why you choose one decision over the other. The second thing that I give you are positionally based chapters. So now there are definite starting points. Now, these starting points are linked, all the positions are linked, and they work in particular ways, which I get into later on in core ground positions. The book discusses that. But these positions are broken up. So now we have a starting point for every position. The third thing I teach you is a central path, which is from each one of those positions: side mount top, side mount bottom, guard top, guard bottom, mount top, mount bottom, turtle top, turtle bottom, back mount offense, back mount defense, leg lock offense, leg lock defense, arm lock offense, arm lock defense. From these already categorized positions. Each one of those positions has a particular way that I attack and defend from. This way that I attack and defend from is reasonable. It's logical. It is based on the simple biomechanical fact that the hands give you far more problems than the legs. Jiu-Jitsu people focus 90% on the legs, 10% on the hands. I focus the opposite. I focus 90% on the hands, 10% on the legs. So this shift in focus, so now I'm focusing on your hands rather than focusing on your legs. This shift in focus is a huge paradigm shift because it shifts the reality, the timelines of behavior. The decisions through motion and time are different because you're being fed a new input. My behavior is different than anybody else's behavior. So you don't see things the way I see things. The way you look at the world through a million moves and trying to figure them out, I look at it through a very simple world of there are 3 core ground positions, 4 total positions with 3 core ground positions. You have chest to back, chest to chest, and supplemental. These supplemental positions are arm locks and leg locks. That's it. When you understand how to beat the legs become unusable. It starts to limit their possibilities and it starts to generate a behavior. In my world, I'm much happier when I'm behind you than if we're fighting face to face.
Absolutely.
Obvious. Yeah. It's obvious. So why do we spend so much time here? People pass the guard in the hard direction all the time. And then you ask them, why are you going this way? You ask them, would you rather go this way or this way? They go, well, this way. I'm like, then why do you keep going this way? Because it's the way we were taught. Nobody ever thought to put importance into the easiest routes. I did. You just got to think about it. People have told me over the past several years, one of the things I get a lot from people is to say, you just say things in a way that it makes sense. You just explain things in a way that makes a lot of sense. You don't, because it's easy. It's super easy. If you understand the world that we see the lens that we see the world through, it's obvious. It makes total sense. But you just go, well, why doesn't anybody else do it that way? I'm like, because they just never thought about it. Everybody was just kind of pre-programmed to think and behave in particular ways. So then everybody just went along with it. And you got generations of teachers under generations and under generations. And it's like, it's so far from what's effective that, and for whatever reason, there's been paradigm shift because people come up with new moves. But you got to understand that biomechanics and basic mechanics kills all of these moves. Because I'm looking at you as a set of targets. Your shoulders and your hips are the center. Your elbows and your knees are the secondary, and your hands and your feet are the third, supplemental. So I look at you as a body. I look at you as, are you on top or bottom? I look at it, are you facing into me or are you facing away from me? That's it. Very simple. And when the person's facing in you, there's certain things that you can do. When they're facing away from you, there's certain things you can do. When I fight you, there's certain ways I fight you that I know are going to make your life hard and I know are going to make you tired. And that's the other thing. What if I can show you a way to guarantee that your opponent will be 100% tired and you will not be tired? At the very least, even if you are tired, know that the way that we are moving and behaving makes your opponent way more tired. Because when people say make the person tired, what are you doing? You're moving around a lot, making yourself tired, and hoping that they get tired before you get tired. No, there's a way to behave where they get tired and you get tired and you don't get tired, and it's consistent. It's always that way. Even when a guy is very good and they push me a little bit, they are far more tired than me just because I'm not changing my behavior. It's just, hey, this person is athletic, they're smart, they're experienced, but the battle is still the same battle. Most people most people are fighting the wrong battles in jiu-jitsu. They're fighting things in a way where it makes no sense. So this book, it's
tell us
tell
us the name of the book.
The Master Plan from Chaos to Clarity in Jiu-Jitsu. The goal of the book is to simplify the world, the reality, and to bring clarity to Jiu-Jitsu, because like I said, Jiu-Jitsu is a bunch of moves and it's up to you to figure out how to make them work. That puts too much responsibility on students and not enough responsibility on the teachers. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take on the responsibility to do the research for you guys, to show you the positions that really matter, and to have a set of goals, or I call them desired results, that I want to achieve, or I want you to be able to achieve once you're done doing, once you're done learning what I'm teaching. So what kinds of things that I want to put into the machine? What kind of results that I want to have the machine spit out? Maximum effectiveness, maximum efficiency, a punch defense mindset.
That's missing in jiu-jitsu today.
Rapid skill development. It's built into the machine. Like, my guys get good fast. Yes. Are they good? Yeah, sure, they're good. But there's a reason why they're getting good fast. That's why a 60-year-old guy and a 50-year-old guy, they're just as good as a 20-year-old guy, because the result is the same. We're all learning the same thing. When my guys roll with each other, they're like, it's way harder to roll here against our guys than it is against other people. I'm like, yeah, because nobody knows what we're doing. So if nobody knows what we're doing, of course, and everybody knows what we're doing here, of course it's going to be harder here. Everybody's aware. But when people aren't aware of what we're doing, it makes things far more effective.
So if someone buys the book and they're the average, let's say they're a blue belt, purple belt, the average practitioner, is it going to be a revelation to them?
I definitely think so. It's gonna be a lot, because it's really, like I said, it's a real paradigm shift on how we're thinking about this reality. So I talk about JVOS. I give the definitions to all the terms. There's a course online for that. I go into the biomechanical perspective. I discuss core ground positions. I discuss the strategy. I zoom out. There's maps. There's a map section that gives you a global perspective, so new people can zoom out and be like, oh, okay, from guard to side mount to mount to there's a logical progression built through maps. There's a consistent color scheme. So when you look at maps, you can see the colors and the way the arrows are pointing, and in your mind, you can kind of visualize the transitions in your head, right? It gives you structure. It gives you a starting point from each position, a way to think from each position. And then there's something I call the golden rules, which are the bullet points of the goals of each position. So now you have a quick reference onto what are we doing from each position. It's very informationally dense. So it's not something that you're just going to read cover to cover. It's not. I don't intend it to be that way. I intend it to be a reference manual to link you to the online courses. It's an instruction manual for the online courses, essentially. And it helps guide you through the vastness of technique, the vastness of strategy, and it kind of simplifies everything in a way where it makes things make a lot more sense. And at least there's a goal. At least it's all written down, and my beliefs are very consistent. I've been teaching a lot of the same stuff for many years, but now there's like a language to it and there's a clarity to it. So if you're a white belt, it's almost like if you're a white belt, it's easier, because I'm programming you to think. What the book does is program you. I'm programming you to think in particular ways. Whereas somebody who's more experienced, it's going to answer a lot of questions. They had a lot of questions. It's going to make them rethink the way they're looking at the world, but it's also going to answer and fill in a lot of holes that they had before. And they're going to start asking the same questions I asked, like why were we doing it this way, and why doesn't anybody else do it this way, and why was I taught the way I was taught? Because it makes no sense. I go, I know. Well, there's a reason why you were taught the way you were taught. Most of us were taught the way we were taught, and that's just, it was so early in the development of jiu-jitsu that Jiu-Jitsu was initially taught one-on-one. So of course, when it's a one-on-one, one person's an instructor and one person's a teacher, it's much easier to kind of guide people towards the best decisions, right? Because I'm going to behave in a particular way, which makes the move work easier when you know how to do it, right? So it was never designed to be taught in groups. And there's a lot of people out there becoming more and more prominent where they put curriculums together, and it's great and it's giving some structure, but why would you teach an armbar to a beginner?
Yeah.
And people would be like, of course you would teach an armbar to the beginner. And then I would ask them, what's easier to control, an arm lock position or the side mount? And it's like, well, side mount, it's obviously easier because for a multitude of reasons. Number one, because side mount, you're on top. Arm lock, you're on top as well. But the key factor is when you're on top and side mount, your chest and arms and back are controlling the guy, where you're in an arm lock, your legs are controlling the guy. So you're limited to how well your legs can control the guy. So it's actually an advanced position. An arm lock is actually a more advanced position, or at the very least, it's a different perspective because based on the control, based on what controls the opponent, your focus is completely different. It's much easier. You're much more coordinated to control with your hands than you are with your legs.
Now, to the person that buys your book, what are they going to get out of it? Is it going to how's it going to positively affect their daily role, their daily game?
A lot of what I do is efficiency, just maximizing efficiency. I think that a lot of people, again, they're on autopilot. They don't really ask the questions. They just kind of do what they've been doing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've had students who are like nurses and electricians and stuff, and they're like, the way that you think is applicable in life. I go, yeah, it's the same thing. I just applied that thinking into jiu-jitsu. But when you start to look at the economy of things, you shop and it saves you less, more time. The way that you drive, like you're on the brakes less, so you're not, wearing out your brakes as much. Like even things like that, the direction that you bring in your groceries, the way that you do it, rather than doing it the hard way, doing it the easier way, right? So it's just a state of mind and a way of thinking and a way of simplifying, this world, and a way to look at this world from a lens of practicality. You know what I mean?
Interesting, because I know I've been to one of your seminars, and it really is you approach everything in I dare to say a new way. I don't know if there's anyone out there or if there's anybody who was who mentored you in this direction. How'd you come across? How did all this come to be?
I mean, I've obviously trained with really good people in my life. I've trained with the best people in my life. Everybody's had their input. I've always kind of tried to do things my own way, come up with my own solutions to problems. But yes, I have been influenced by very good people. But even when I go back and teach them, they know that it's different.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
So because I've consolidated what history and time gives you is the ability to focus on particular things, and you start to cluster things together. Now, instead of having to deal with 18 positions, I deal with 4: standing, chest to back, chest to chest, and supplemental. So that consolidation of information into those 4 positions, and then understanding how those positions interact with each other. So, for example, chest to back and chest to chest are linked through 2 twisting transitions. The first twisting transition, to go from chest to chest to chest to back, comes from side mount to turtle, which I call the meat grinder, which is probably the seminar that you were at, the meat grinder seminar, side mount. Then there is a mount grinder, which is the second transition that we deal with, which is from mount to back mount. Besides those two, what else you got? You got any others? That's it. So understand that chest to chest and chest to back are linked through a twisting transition. Mm-hmm. Understand that supplemental positions are the extremities. There's no twisting transition. They are their own thing. There is a way to control each one of those. And chest to back and supplemental positions are the finishing destinations. So, for example, arm lock, final control, which is where the legs are holding one over the head and one over the body. You're holding the person down with your legs. That's a finishing destination. So the question becomes, how many different ways can we reach this finishing destination? Same thing with leg locks. How many different ways can we get to leg locks? Same thing, chest to back. How many different ways can we get to there? So because some positions are more important than others, they're not all equal. Some are more functional than others. Some are more practical than others. Some are more economical than others. Some positions are straight up more important than others. So we talked about guard bottom. Why is it so complicated? Mm-hmm. If you're in side mount bottom, your legs are less usable than they are if you're in guard bottom. Mm-hmm. If you're in mount bottom, they're less usable than if you were in guard bottom.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Based on the configurations of the legs, are they around you or are their legs around you? That configuration shift changes the dynamic of the position.
Yeah, that's true.
If I say, okay, I passed your guard to side mount and you're trying to get back to guard, and I can tell you, there's no way you're getting back to guard. Yeah. Never in the history of your life are you ever going to be able to get back to your guard again. What are your choices? Are you going to throw the guy into mount and try to get out of mount to get to guard?
No.
Or are you going to turn?
You're going to turn.
Of course. So I'm generating a turn. So then the question becomes, how do you stop them from putting you back in your guard? Of course, there's a way to do that. 100%. And it is, when I say it's impossible to get me back in the guard, it's at the very least, very difficult and very energy intensive.
Yeah.
So is it even worth it to get back to guard bottom if it's going to be that much work?
That's true. Yeah.
That's it. Well, that choice is up to you. I can't choose that choice. You can.
So if someone wants to buy the book, they're listening to this, they're like, this sounds like, I don't know if I'd say something new, but something, you've gone to the undiscovered country is what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So where do they buy the book?
You can get it at Victory Publishing. You can get it on Amazon as well. Mm-hmm. So we made the number one bestseller, or number one. Yeah, we made it to the number one bestseller yesterday.
Awesome.
So
congratulations.
It's doing good.
Congratulations.
Yeah, awesome. I think that this is I think it's going to be a big deal. I think there's a lot of really good ideas. I think a lot of people learn jiu-jitsu the same way I did. So I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. I think it's gonna give clarity to a lot of people. It's going to answer a lot of questions that people maybe have asked, maybe they haven't asked, maybe they didn't even think about asking. I try to ask all those questions and try to give you reasonable solutions to those questions. It's really about, it's a software upgrade. This book is a software upgrade because it's giving you a new lens to look at the world through. So a simpler lens. And even my students are like, this works so good. It's like, why doesn't anybody else do this? I'm like, I put in the reps. I spent years and tens of thousands of hours in each position, studying behavior, having to deal with really good people, and figuring out what works and what doesn't. So I put in, 30 years of my life to try and figure this stuff out. And really, since 2011, really analyzing what I'm doing.
Have you had any pushback? Any negative feedback from big jiu-jitsu?
I mean, you want to debate me on it? Let's do it. But I'm very confident in my position, right? There is a hierarchy to moves. There's a hierarchy to positions, and at least from my perspective, and from my experience, right? Because I fought really good guys. I grappled the best guys. I fought the best guys. I grappled the best guys. And I've been inspired um, and I've worked with the best guys. So I kind of know how people think because everybody kind of thinks the same way. Everybody has been taught the same way. I'm the one that's rattling the cage saying, I think that there's a different way to do this. And I think the results are going to be great. I know they're going to be great.
So tell us, how did you first get into jiu-jitsu and then transition into MMA?
I was a college wrestler first. I wrestled at Mount Sac College and ended up taking like seventh in state in junior college state. And then I started jiu-jitsu in 1997. And then I got my black belt in 2003. But I was fighting as early as 1998.
And who'd you start jiu-jitsu with?
Rodrigo Medeiros. He was a Carlson Gracie black belt.
So you had that hardcore Carlson Gracie training, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it fit perfectly with coming out of college wrestling. So for me, it was an easy fit. They seem to kind of believe and do the same kinds of things that we believe. So it was a good fit for the time.
And when you first stepped on the mats, what was it about jiu-jitsu? Did you know from day one, okay, I'm going to do this?
Well, I watched it. I watched it when I was still wrestling in college. I watched UFC 4 when I was still in college. And then I'm like, well, I want to do this, but let me get through wrestling season first. And then once I'm done with the wrestling season, I'll start jiu-jitsu. And yeah, I don't think at first I was like, I guess maybe I was like, I could probably do this, but I kind of didn't because the guys were so much bigger and there was no weight classes at the time. So it was like the smallest guy was 200 pounds. So it wasn't something that was in the forefront. But when I started seeing, smaller guys fight, then I was like, yeah, we can do this. Like the first time I did anything, it was like, open hand fighting, like pancrase style fighting. It was illegal and it was no holds barred and it was in a warehouse and and all that. So again, it wasn't like something like, yeah, I want to do this. It was just so happened that there was an opportunity and I ended up taking it, but it wasn't like, yeah, we're going to make a career out of this. I wasn't at the time. There was no money even consider that.
It is kind of crazy because I remember going to watch matches like that, even here in Texas, before the athletic commissions got involved, and it was pancrase rules, open hand slaps, and you would see guys just get beat up with these slaps. I mean,
yeah, they hurt. I mean, it's just because it's open hand doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
yeah, yeah. Well, I took my wife to one, and it was a square cage. It wasn't even a round cage, or octagon, but it was a square cage, and one guy got caught. I guess he got caught knee on belly in the corner of the cage, couldn't get out, and the guy just kept palm striking him, and the crowd just started counting. So the entire crowd was like 5, 6.
Yeah, when you get caught in the corner, that's why they don't make them. That's why cages aren't corners. That's why they're rounded. There's as little corner as possible. Round cages are, I think probably the best. Octagon is really good too.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't really get caught in a corner, but yeah, that's why boxing ring you can do it, but not really because the ropes kind of allow you mobility. You can slide under it and stuff, so it's not the same. But when you have a cage in a corner, you were stuck.
Yeah, he was stuck. And then, so Shooto to WEC, how'd you get into the WEC?
Oh man, it was a bit of a journey on that one. I was supposed to fight in the Affliction show and the second Affliction show. Affliction had a couple of shows, and
Arlovsky
at the
fought
last
Fedor,
minute,
didn't he, in one of those shows?
yes. And what ended up happening was the show blew up because I think Josh Barnett got caught for steroids, maybe, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
yeah.
Josh Barnett was, I think, supposed to fight Fedor or something. And then they ended up canceling the whole show over it. And so I was kind of in limbo. And then I ended up the WEC called, and they're like, they wanted to put on the same fight like a month later, maybe.
Just take the
So,
same group of people, the same card, basically. And
well,
just
my opponent, me and my opponent,
okay.
LC Davis. So they transferred me and LC Davis off of that card and put us in the WEC. And we ended up fighting there. But yeah, that was a bit of an adventure.
And how'd your fights? How did your WEC career go?
Man, I actually thought I fought pretty well in the WEC. The first two fights that I had were actually losses, but nobody thought I lost either one of those fights. The WEC didn't think I lost either one of those fights. So my record wasn't as good as it probably should have been, because of those first two losses. But if you would have considered those first two losses, I would have been 4-1. If you would have given me those fights, which I thought I won. I thought I won both of them, and the WEC thought I won both of them too. That's why they ended up bringing me back. And
Who'd
then
you
my
fight?
third fight,
Who'd you fight in those two
the
fights?
the first fight was LC Davis, and there's no question I thought I won that fight. The second fight was a guy named Davidas Torres of UCS who was good, who was tough. And it was a close fight, but I still thought I won that fight. I had a pretty big third round. Um, and yeah, I thought both of those fights could have gone my way or should have gone my way, and that would have changed kind of my outlook on the WC. I was a little bit disappointed with the way I'd never had two losses in a row, let alone two losses in a row that I thought I won. So it was tough. It was challenging, but I ended up coming back in the third fight. I fought Jens Pulver. I tapped Jens Pulver in the first round,
That's a
and
big
then I
win.
fought. Yeah, that was a big win, and that was somebody I wanted to fight for a long time. I wanted to fight him when he was UFC champion. I thought I could have beat him back then, but I wasn't in the UFC at the time. And then I fought was Mackin Semizer, who was an up and coming guy. He had just tapped out a black belt, Fabiano something. I forget the guy's name, but he was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He ended up tapping him, and then he fought me, and then I ended up tapping him with like a standing rear naked choke with an arm trap. So it was a pretty cool finish. And then I ended up fighting Chad Mendez, my last WEC fight, and I ended up losing. And I thought that one I lost 2 rounds to 1. I wasn't 3-0. I didn't think it was 3 rounds to none, but some people did. But because I was getting taken down, but I was beating them from my back. So again, um, a little bit of a disappointing fight, but I thought overall I fought pretty well in the WEC.
And how did the doors to the UFC open for you?
They merged.
Oh, that's right. So you were part of that merger, yeah.
I was part of the merger.
Okay. So walk us through some of your fights in the UFC.
Well, I only fought once in the UFC. I still had 2 or 3 fights left in my contract, and I think I think I had just had enough. I had already retired before. I had 6 knee surgeries, 3 ACL replacements, and then 3 scopes after my Alberto Crane fight in the early 2000s. And the opponents that they were giving me, I wasn't overly excited to fight. I was already not super motivated to fight because it just felt really labored at that point in my career. I had a lot of injuries and a lot of, I just didn't, I don't think I just, I think I just didn't want to do it anymore. The lifestyle just it was a long time. I did it for 13 years. I fought for a long time. So I think it just started getting to me and I just didn't want to do it anymore. And, you know, I had felt this way before, but it was just different this time. It just felt like a lot more permanent, I guess. And um and I just ended up not wanting to do it anymore.
That's
So there were still
yeah.
technically fights in my UFC contract, but
Yeah.
I didn't care. I didn't care. I fought there. I was supposed to fight in the UFC at UFC 42. I was supposed to fight years before, but I ended up tearing my ACL. Then I was supposed to fight again, and I tore it again. So it was just this, almost like a goal for me just to be able to do it just at least once because I didn't think I was going to do it just once at the time, but it just worked out that way. But after all the struggle, it took me 10 years to kind of come back and get in. So there's just something about it that I just had to do it, just to say that I did it, you know?
Yeah. So what was the next step for you? Did you immediately open a jiu-jitsu school?
Yeah, pretty much. Once I was done fighting, I opened up a school, and I ran that school for from 2011 to 2017. So about 7 years, 6.5 years. And then I ended up filing for divorce, and then I opened up the school that I'm at right now.
So how do you teach now? Do you have more of the keep it playful model, or how have you changed as an instructor, and how has your jiu-jitsu changed?
Um, well, we're trying to make it sustainable. You want to be able to do it long term. So if you roll with my guys, you'll notice some consistencies. They're not spazzing out. They're not overly aggressive. They're very present. I think I try to bring a lot of presence into their jujitsu, calming everything down, slowing everything down. And just because your opponent is going fast doesn't mean that you have to go fast. I don't necessarily beat people with speed. I
I
could
see
beat
that a
them.
lot. I see that a lot with my students. One guy might be a little more gifted, a little more athletic, and they're trying to match with that person. You try to out athlete someone who's might be a little
Yeah.
more gifted as an athlete. That's not going to work.
Well, it's got its limitations. It works until it doesn't work. It works until you meet the guy that can keep up with you. So then what do you do, right? So there's there's ways to beat people that don't require the strength and the speed. There's a progressiveness to advancement. There is um, strategy. There's strategy that I follow. Every position has a best way to fight from that position. You may or may not know what that way is. You might know it, but you might not understand the importance and the relevance of doing that particular strategy from that position, or you'll change your strategy every time you land in a particular position. I don't. I do the same thing. I say, you try to beat what I'm doing, because what I'm doing I know is going to make it hard for you. And because of that, I'm the one that's leading the timeline, and you're reacting off of me. That means that I'm generating your behavior.
Mhm.
So the second that you start to fall in line, because you have to, or else I escape, or else I submit. You have to fall in line, because the attack or escape or threat is so real that you have to react in a way that is expected. Um, I'm just leading you. So ultimately, I'm just leading you. I know what you're going to do. I can feel your thoughts. I can feel your energy. The second I touch you, I know where you're at. I know where your body's at, and I understand and know what you're thinking. And if I can make you think things, that means I'm making you do things. That way I'm controlling your behavior. It's not that I control your behavior. It's over. I'm controlling you.
It's like Jedi mind tricks.
It's exactly like Jedi mind tricks.
You'll give me your arm. You know?
I don't even give. I just go like this, and
Yeah.
comes to me.
Next
Comes
level.
to me. There's ways for you to bring things to yourself. So rather than you chasing things, there's a
Mhm.
lot of ways to make people do what you want them to do. There's some people say pain compliance, or I consider like a threat compliance, right? So I can make you roll if I attack certain submissions. That's the way I approach, the way I play guard, right? If I can, I mean, if you're in guard, for example, what is your strategy for guard? Do you have a strategy when you're on guard bottom?
When I'm on guard bottom, uh, to not be on guard bottom, I want to reverse that as soon as possible.
Good. Yeah. So generally, some people will say, "Well, I can try to submit people from your guard." It's like, okay, but there's reasons to not try and do that. There's basically the best strategy, which is not being there, which is transitioning from bottom to top. That's the way I look at
Mhm.
it, right? I try to transition from bottom to top. So then the question becomes, okay, if that's a strategy we're going to follow, like, what are ways for you to transition from bottom to top? What can you do to transition from bottom to top? One, and two, are there things that I can do that will make you want to go to guard bottom, that you're going to be happy to go to guard bottom. So I want you to go to guard bottom, and you want to go to guard bottom. Doesn't that seem like a way that would be a little bit better, right? So that's my strategy. My strategy is to get you to go to guard bottom not because I want you to go to guard bottom, but because you want to go to guard bottom. So the way that you transition from bottom to top, most people will say what? The first thing, sweeps. Okay, sweeps. The problem with sweeps is that there's an inherent, there's a built-in battle. You want them to go to guard bottom or side mount bottom, right? But they don't want to. So they're going to resist you taking them to that position. So now there's conflict. The way I do it is a little bit more reasonable. So what I do is I attack submissions in a way that the threat is so immediate that you roll to guard bottom to defend my submission. Now, if I can catch you, great. But if I rolled you from guard bottom and I missed a submission, also great. I'm also okay with that. So then the question becomes, well, what submissions or what attacks will start to generate this rolling behavior? And I have it broken down to a few things. So if I want to transition from bottom to top, I'll use drags. I'll use sweeps, not very often, but I'll use sweeps. I'll use drags. I'll use guillotines. I'll use reverse arm locks. I'll use kimuras. So now I'm using individual moves to start to generate the behavior. If I get omoplata is another one, right? So if you use these moves in a particular way, they're going to all create a similar kind of reaction, and it'll get you off the bottom. So I try to apply guard in that way rather than trying to fight for submissions. I mean, if I can submit somebody, great, but I started to think about just the whole strategy from your back. I know that this might sound crazy, but it just doesn't make any sense, right? Because if you look at it from an energy perspective, I'm not talking about, is it possible? Yes, it is possible for you to submit people from your back, but is it economical? Is it energy efficient? The higher you climb your legs up on somebody's back, the more you work. The higher you climb your legs, the less likely you're going to end up on top. How are you going to end up on top if your legs are up here? Your legs have to be down here. So the lower your legs are, the more likely you're going to be able to end up on top. So if you're attacking triangles and arm bars and all these things, how are you going to end up transitioning to top? There's too many steps. And in that detangling phase, the person can also be scrambling and ending up on top. So it doesn't really make any sense. You're kind of the more you attack high guard, the more you attack submissions. If you get it, great. But if you don't get it, which people are becoming more and more aware, and getting it is becoming harder and harder, is it where you want to spend the vital energy that you have, the limited amount of energy that you have? Do you want to take all that energy, just dump it into guard bottom? Or you can take that same amount of energy, attack certain submissions to end up on top. So now you're not having to carry the person's weight. And now you have extra energy to kind of push a pace and then apply weight to them. So when I started to look at the strategy that people follow from a practical perspective, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I started to kind of develop a game, and certain positions came easier than others. This guard strategy was very difficult because I started that guard bottom was one of the places that was the place I thought that was the most complex to kind of solve the riddle. And that's when I started to realize, when I started to ask the questions, I started to realize, like, why are we doing some of the things that we're doing? They're difficult, and they're energy intensive, and they're strength intensive. And it's like applicability or functionality, effectiveness, especially against good guys. It's like, why are we following the strategy? Why are we spending all this time and energy on doing things? Is it just because
that's what we've been taught? You know, we do.
Yeah, we didn't question it. We never questioned anything. Nobody asked, why are we doing it this way? I always asked why we're doing it this way. What is it about this way that is superior to doing it a different way? What is it about this strategy that's superior to another? I can back up my claims position by position. I can back up my claims of why I do what I do. Is it the only way? No. Will you disagree with me? Maybe, but you can't deny that the way that I do things is effective, very effective, high percentage effective. So I don't need a million moves.
Any last words you want to leave the good people with?
I mean, I hope that this book brings a lot of clarity. I think that I think it's going to solve a lot of problems. I think it's going to answer a lot of questions. And once they understand the power of what I'm showing them, once they really get it, and it's going to take a minute, right? Because I'm going to say generating behavior. I'm going to say, you put your hand here and then you wait for their hand to come, and
that's hard for people to do.
Yeah. And when they see it happen, and they like, like you rip your first arm bar, right? Like the first time you catch somebody's hand midair, or you pass in the way that I'm showing you, and you realize how easy it is, and you just go, whoa, there's no way. I can't believe that it happened. Once they start to see it, then they'll start to build a little bit of confidence. And once the confidence sets in, then there's no going back. There's only moving forward. So I definitely think that it's going to solve a lot of problems. It's going to solve a lot of problems.
One more time, tell the people where they can get the book and where they can find you if they want to connect with you.
The book is on Amazon. You can go to any Amazon and look up Javier Vazquez BJJ or Javier Vazquez, The Master Plan. It'll pop up on Amazon. You can get it on Victory Publishing. If you want to get a hold of me, my Instagram is at JV Jiu-Jitsu, and I have another personal Instagram account, The Real Javier Vazquez. And on Twitter, you can reach me at Javier Showtime. Yeah, I'm just here. I have an academy in Rancho Cucamonga. If you don't believe me, feel free to come by, take a class, and feel what we're doing, because it's not just do what we're doing, it's really feel it. I think that what I do is really heavily based on feel. And until you feel it, like, you're not going to get it. Because when you look at our guys spar, they're not really doing anything crazy, but it's incredibly effective. You just can't stop it. So if you don't believe it, come by. We'll make you a believer.
Yeah, that's right. Go to Rancho Cucamonga. Check out my man, Javier Vazquez. Thank you for your time, sir. And let's connect again soon.
All right, Derrick. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Make sure you show your boy Derrick Fury some love by joining the mailing list for my new graphic novel, The Gentleman's Guild, art by Ebi Canales. That's right, Ebi Canales. The link is in the description. And don't forget to watch my feature film, Lion Killer. That's right, I made a movie. You can watch it on Amazon Prime, Tubi TV. There's even a full Spanish dub. And thanks again for checking out this episode of FURYCAST. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can be notified every time a new FURYCAST video drops. This is Derrick Fury. Until next time, peace.